proposed replacement of the existing pool, patio, and pool fencing area. Work will occur within a 100-foot buffer zone to the top of a coastal bank. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob Reedy, engineer with J.M. O'Reilly and Associates, representing the Cove Motel. The property sits right on Town Cove. Most restrictive wetland resource, as you can see on the plan, is the coastal bank, which is partially located, partially delineated. The Cove is proposing to replace the existing pool, patio, and fencing area, a portion of which is within the 100-foot buffer zone to the coastal bank. It's essentially a like-for-like replacement. The pool is a little bit smaller than the existing pool, but the total area of the pool, patio, and fencing, it's essentially the exact same footprint. The lower portion of the patio area is supported by a retaining wall, which will remain in place. It's going to be structurally reinforced as part of the project. And then stormwater controls are going to be added in. There's no stormwater controls there right now. We're proposing trench drains surrounding the edge of the patio on the three sides that are adjacent to the wetland. And then that's going to be piped to a leaching facility that's sited outside the 100-foot buffer zone. So making an improvement to stormwater there. Other than that, like I said, it's a like-for-like replacement. They're going to improve the pool fencing. I'd be happy to answer any questions the commission has about this project.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
You said they are going to replace the fencing?
Yeah, it needs to be upgraded.
Yeah, it was falling apart. I was just going to say it would be a good time. I didn't realize that was part of it.
And it'll have to be just to meet health code. They'll have to upgrade it.
Juicy. Can you just describe how the work's going to be done in maybe a little more detail? It seems like some areas are very sort of tight, especially that building with the units and stuff.
Yeah, so the access point will be from the adjacent driveway there. There's kind of going to be a slot, basically, that they're going to have to remove the existing fence anyway, so they're going to remove that and just kind of create an opening for the excavator to move right in. But they're not going to really need to go too close to the building. The digging's going to be a little bit further away. It's really going to be resurfacing the patio in the area that's closer to the building.
Okay. That's all I have.
And all the retaining walls are remaining in place.
Yeah, and they're going to be reinforced as part of the project, just to...
Okay.
Bob, just some color on the composition of the new patio?
Pavers. I don't have further information than that. I can certainly get it to you, but I don't know. I have to check with Shoreline. I think they're responsible for taking care of the pavers.
Sorry, and as you just said that the retaining walls are going to be reinforced?
Yes, there's a structural engineer involved with the project. I think that they've reviewed the retaining walls, and there's going to be some structural reinforcement just to make sure that it's going to last for the long term. I think it's a little bit of an older wall. They don't feel that they need to remove and replace. It seems like structural reinforcement is going to be what's necessary here per the structural engineer.
But that isn't going to expand the footprint in any way?
No, not going to expand the footprint at all.
Anything else, guys? Dick, anything?
I would just like to know what a proposed mulched area is on the pavers.
Yeah, so it's an existing patio area. They just felt like they'd want to break that up a little bit. Don't really know what they want to put there, if anything, at the moment, but just felt that they didn't want to run the patio right up to the edge of the building in that spot. So for now, it's just proposed as a mulched area.
I would just say if they're going to do plantings, please, native plantings.
Understood, yep.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any public comment on the project in the room?
Is there
Public comment online?
a hand up?
You do have a raised hand.
Okay.
I'm trying to bring this person in, but they are not accepting yet.
Okay. Person, oh, looks like their hand came down.
Good morning. My name is Jack Leonard, and I'm at 19 South Orleans Road, which is just a neighbor of the Cove Motel. I'm just curious for for accessing the property. I know the pool abuts directly on, is very close to our property line. I was curious, is there going to be anything, that's required on my property to protect the coast, just the shore area? Or will they need to access across my property to do some of this work?
So we are proposing a limit of work surrounding the disturbed area just to ensure that there's no off-site erosion as a result of any disturbances during construction. But the access to the pool area for the excavator will actually be from the opposite side from where your property is. They're going to come in from the parking lot to the opposite from 19 South Orleans. The only real disturbance on your side would be the installation of the stormwater facility, but that's only a couple feet deep. I think the bottom of that's about 3 feet to 4 feet below grade. So really no disturbance on your side in terms of any major digging or anything like that.
And when is the work actually proposed to be done? Sorry, I joined a little bit late. Maybe you described that earlier.
Their plan is to do it in the off-season. I think kind of once the motel shuts down for the season, which I believe is sometime around Thanksgiving. So I believe they're looking at December for when they're going to get the work done or something around there.
Okay, thank you very much for those details. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Lucy?
Yeah.
If there is any disturbance, just want to make sure that the owner knows, or the abutter knows that you will take care of any disturbance and put it back to the way it was.
Correct, yeah, one of the conditions of our approval, and as noted on the plan, that any disturbed areas would need to be returned to, stabilized and returned to existing conditions.
Thank
But
you.
all the work would be done from the Cove Motel property, correct?
Correct, yeah, there would be no access from your property.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment? Anyone else online, Mia?
No other hands are raised.
Okay, can I get a motion to close public comment?
I move to close public comment on 13 South Orleans Road.
Second.
All those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Jenny? Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Drusy? Aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Okay, and a motion on the project.
I move to find a negative determination, which is good, for 13 South Orleans Road, referencing the project narrative by J.M. Riley and Associates dated June 11th, 2026, and the site plan also authored by J.M. Riley and Associates dated 6/11/26.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Drusy? Aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next order of business, notice of intent, David and Kelly Roach, 54 Uncle Israel's Road by Cape Associates, map 81, parcel 86. The proposed construction of a new addition to expand the existing kitchen, add a mudroom, and two-car garage. Work will occur within the 100-foot buffer zone to an isolated wetland. Morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Matthew Cole from Cape Associates for the applicant, and with me is the property owner, David Roach. The project, as you just described, the goal is to expand the house to make it a little bit more comfortable and modernize the entry sequence. The area of work that's in jurisdiction is the two-car garage. It will be built substantially where the existing driveway is, which is how the work will be accessed, after which the remaining section of driveway will be restored to its present condition. So again, the addition is the portion in the jurisdiction. Work area will be accessed by the existing driveway, and certainly a small area of disturbance around the new foundation area for the excavation and backfill activities. Once the structure is built, again, the surrounding area will be restored very much in consistent with how it is presently today.
Okay, commissioners, questions?
I just have one, Trucy. So, Matt, how far would you say your limit of work will extend around the project?
4 feet beyond the structure shown would be the limit of excavation, and we need room for the machine to get around beyond that. So we can work it from the driveway end, so 8 feet beyond the structure.
Okay, thank you.
There was concern on site, there's a tree that's there that looked like it And especially if you're putting a 4-foot limit of work around that looked like it might be affected or lost. Do you know about that?
I think you're referring to the oak that would sit just east and in front of the garage. And so by my measurement, that's about 6 feet from the new structure. So we would seek to preserve it, although I do worry that we'll be into the root zone of the tree.
I mean, because, you know, that's in our jurisdiction, and I would say that if we do lose that tree, we'd certainly want to replace it in kind.
We'd be happy to have that condition and again, seek to preserve it, and if it can't, replace it.
So there isn't a 75-foot buffer marked on this plan. It looks like that new proposed addition is going to be just over it, and we do ask that, so John's shaking his head no.
I think I scaled it, it's outside.
Okay.
Limit of work will be inside. That's, I think.
Will be inside.
described.
Yeah, so just on the edge, I guess.
So, and again, in the interest of that tree, it would be great if this could be pulled back even a couple of feet. And I realize that you're dealing with a tight border on the other side in terms of being up against the neighbors. But it would be great if that garage could be pulled back a little closer to the existing house, the new addition, could be pulled back so that the tree would have a little more space to survive. I mean, it's great to plant a new tree, but a new tree is not going to accomplish anything like what that existing tree is in terms of carbon sequestration, habitat for wildlife, all of those good things that we look to protect.
Yeah, I think the plan dimensions are fairly tight. And again, I think there's a reasonable distance to the tree. If it can't be preserved, would you want a 2-to-1 replacement?
That would be great.
Would be better, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
And
Thank you.
definitely, you know, on the wetland side of the house. I mean, obviously, we partially want to preserve and suck up nutrients before it gets down to that wetland. Tim, you-
I was just curious, and maybe it's not needed, but on the plan, I would like to see the limit of work put on the plan. And I'd like to see what the improvement is as far as I guess, the side, you know, some, I guess, drawings of what the improvement's going to be like. And what is the height of the dwelling going to be?
The height of the proposed?
Yes.
So the section of house that gets extended, that's out of jurisdiction, the ridge stays consistent with the existing ridge.
Okay.
And then the garage ridge height steps down about 3 feet as the building, as the garage projects away from the house. So that front section of the garage will sit lower. I don't know if you can see my screen from there, but
Okay.
yeah, it's not really in public view yet, so.
Okay, that's fine.
Ken?
Matt or Dave, can you give any color on how you staked the wetland line? I was really interested. It's well flagged, but it seems like the wetland delineation could be kind of subjective. So I was just curious what the thought process was.
I can't speak to that personally. Outermost did that. I met with John before that was done, and he gave me very specific instructions, which we passed along to them, which I can't recall sitting here, but there was a specific sequence to the flagging that he wanted that we passed along to Outermost.
Yeah, and just to add some context to that, we looked at it, it's a fairly conservative flagging.
Right.
With what I felt in the field, which welcomes in the jurisdiction closer, even though your addition's still outside the 75-foot and you're an outer buffer project. But we did look at it. It's a tough call because it's just a roadside situation.
Totally anecdotal comment, but, you know, I've been affiliated with that property for 50 years, and there hasn't been standing water directly across that street for probably the last 20.
Okay.
You know, it's dry walking 15 feet in.
And you just jinxed it.
Maybe.
Something we did notice on site, and I don't know if it's neighbors or whatever, is we saw some dumping in that wetland. There was some brush, there were some lawn clippings. If who's ever listening, or if you're involved with the neighbors, or it's you,
We don't have a
please,
lawn.
please refrain from that dumping. And if you see your neighbor doing it, please tell them to
Ask
stop.
them not to.
Yeah. Anything else, guys? Dick, did you have anything?
Yeah, I've got one thing, Madam Chair. We had just briefly talked about a driveway trench drain, since it is gravel, and that might just afford that opportunity to place that at the base of the driveway before the road.
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Given the fact that the driveway, there's a depression in the driveway, Dick?
Yeah.
Remember on site?
Yeah.
My initial concern before going to the site was that stormwater from the site would come down the driveway and go across the road to the wetland, but given the topography, that can't happen.
Good.
So I don't think it's, a trench drain is needed for this. That was one of my initial concerns, but once we got to the site, that was allayed.
Thank you, David. Yes, no, I was in my notes, thought we just mentioned it. Thank you for your opinion.
John?
Thanks, Dick. Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
John, do we have a DEP number for this?
We do.
We did get a file number late yesterday, so certainly if you're ready to act, you could act on it today.
So, it sounds like conditions I've heard so far is, one, if that tree is affected and we lose it, then replacement, and 2-to-1 replacement, and also presenting a new plan that includes the limit of work.
Yeah.
But I think we could condition that.
Yeah, I would suggest you make your approval subject to receiving a revised plan that shows the limit of work, and we can get that from
Not condition, subject.
Cape Associates quickly. And then the two special conditions, I heard the 2-to-1 tree replacement. I would put some nuances to that. I had made some notes. If the tree cannot be preserved or dies as an impact from
The
construction,
size on it.
it shall be replaced with 2 native trees in the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction.
Is there a time period for, is it like maybe
Water's good for 3 years. If
Yes,
they
okay.
impact it, it'll show up probably in a year and a half.
I mean, we certainly would love you to save that tree. Give it a shot.
And the other one was the no dumping, just as a
Sure.
breadcrumb, if you will, but
Sure.
to be a condition of the order, so it's looked at upon final inspection.
Okay. Do we have any public comment in the room on this project? Anyone online, Mia?
No raised hands.
Okay, can I get a motion to close public hearing?
I move to close the public hearing for 54 Uncle Israel's Road.
Second.
All those in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Brucey, aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
And a motion on the project.
I move to approve the project at 54 Uncle Israel's Road, referencing the astonishingly brief project narrative by Cape Associates, Inc., dated 6/10/2026. The site plan also by Cape Associates, Inc., dated June 10th, 2026, subject to the special condition of the oak tree. If it cannot be preserved, we would like a 2-for-1 replacement within CONSCOM jurisdiction, subject to an additional special condition of no dumping within the wetland.
And subject
To a new plan being submitted with a delineated limit of work.
Second.
Discussion?
discussion, the trees need to be native canopy trees.
Yeah, that was my question. Yeah, I assume you meant native trees, again, in your motion.
I did mean that, and I left it out.
It's okay. All good. All right. Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Brucey, aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next order of business, 34 Jackknife Point LLC, 34 Jackknife Point Road, by J.M. O'Reilly and Associates, map 57, parcel 69. The proposed reconstruction of an existing boathouse reconfiguration of an existing deck on the dwelling, and addition of 2 new patio areas, removal of gravel driveway, landscape improvement, and restoration of the coastal bank. Work will occur within the 100-foot buffer zone to the top of a coastal bank, on a coastal bank, and within land subject to coastal storm flowage and the Pleasant Bay ACEC. Good morning.
Good morning. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? Good morning. For the record, I'm John O'Reilly with J.M. O'Reilly and Associates. To my left is Teresa Spray from Blue Flax Design, and behind us is Peter Haig, the project architect. I thought the owner was going to try to join us this morning through video.
If they're online, they could raise their hand, and we'll welcome them into the discussion.
If not, maybe not. All right, well, we're here today to try to accomplish 4 tasks on this property, and the resources we're dealing with, there's quite a few of them. We're dealing with land under the ocean. We have a salt marsh. We have a coastal beach. We have land subject to coastal storm flowage, a coastal bank. A portion of the area, a portion of the parcel, particularly on the coastal bank, is mapped as rare wildlife. And there is the ACEC 100-foot landward of the 10-foot contour also runs through the middle of the property. The landward resource that dictates the 50 and 100-foot buffer zones is the coastal bank, and the bank was defined using the DEP Bank Policy 92-1. There are 4 components to our proposal. First and foremost, the applicant is looking to elevate and reconstruct the existing boathouse within the same footprint. We are looking to rework the existing deck area on the seaward side of the dwelling, as well as a new outdoor patio on the north side of the dwelling. Third, there is an attached garage which is being converted to living space, no change in footprint to the building, but the gravel driveway that services the garage is being removed and being replaced with some patio and some landscape plantings. And then, of course, Blue Flax's component, which is the restoration of the coastal bank and reestablishing a vegetated buffer strip along the bank. Starting with the boathouse, we looked at the boathouse. Currently, the boathouse floor sits at elevation 5.4. It's well above the mean high water line and is not part of a licensed structure. I will note the dock and the revetment are licensed with the waterways of DEP. We are looking to, first thing we tried to do is we determine how high we wanted to elevate the house, of the boathouse. We're dealing with a velocity zone at this location of elevation 14, which would mean elevating it, if we're looking to get above the flood zone, we're elevating it 9 feet, which would be quite a rise and quite a change to the aesthetics of the bank, aesthetics of the building, as well as the impact to access it adjacent to the beach and marsh. So we talked to the owner, who in turn talked to people that had some history on the property, and we looked at, what flooding events the building has occurred, and the worst level of flooding that we've come across is the Hurricane Bob, and the flooding in the building was about a foot, a little over a foot. So we've decided to elevate the building 4 feet to floor elevation of 9.4, which will give the boathouse a fighting chance to survive a flooding event. In a 100-year storm, it will be flooded. There is no doubt about that. But it will give an improvement to stormwater coming up underneath the building, having a place to go. We're certainly improving the flood conditions of the property by elevating the boathouse. We have provided you through Peter Haig's office a construction protocol specifically regarding the boathouse itself. The intent here is try to keep foot traffic around the boathouse as minimal as possible. The proposal is to stage a crane several times during the construction phase, where the boathouse will be dismantled in pieces, hauled up by crane, and disposed of on top of the bluff and then trucked off on a daily occurrence or as needed. Pieces will be recycled as appropriate. And then, once the structure is down, a machine will be lowered down, again via crane, to set the helical anchors, which will serve as support for the elevated structure. The building will be panelized off-site, or that's the intention. Panels will be delivered, and it will be pieced together, again, through the crane, lowering the piece by piece, and then constructing the boathouse. The boathouse has a concrete slab throughout the bottom of it, as well as its three-sided concrete foundation. The intention is to remove a portion of the slab, the water side portion of the slab, completely, leaving the three vertical walls, as well as the portion of the slab that's a structural component of the design. We don't really want to be messing with the foundation walls that are there, because I think will undermine the bank significantly and cause more of a disturbance than the intention. The area of where the slab is, portions, again, will be removed. Some portions will be removed to allow for some drainage. The area will then be backfilled with some sand and then sloped back to the water to provide drainage to the beach and marsh area. We have provided a limited work line along the shallow revetment that exists in front of the building. This limited work line is going to be a little tricky because we do have a high water mark that comes up. Again, I vision this limited work more of a guide for workers, not to get too far away from the building, and will need to be monitored on a daily basis while work is ongoing. The work on top of the bluff adjacent to the house is landscape and nature. We're reworking the existing deck on the water side of the building, reducing scale, reducing scope, reconfiguring the layout a little bit, pulling back structure from the bank, adding a spa that will rest on the deck. And then we are adding a patio, outdoor fireplace, barbecue area on the north side of the building. We're respecting the 50-foot buffer as well as the ACEC, in the sense that we're not adding any square footage or adding any square footage within either of those setback areas. In fact, we are showing a net reduction of about 63 square feet within the 50-foot buffer, and then an overall 144 square feet within the 50 to 100-foot buffer, for a net reduction of about 150 square feet. We are adding some square footage to the boathouse, simply to allow us to get in and out of the building, elevating it 4 feet. We are providing a landing and a set of stairs that will provide access from the existing path that's along the bottom of the bank. Patio will be pervious in nature, dry laid, and again, it's been configured to reflect a reduction in hardscape in the buffer zones. On the south side of the building, this is where the driveway is. The driveway will be removed. Garage will be converted to living space, and the area will be turned into an outdoor patio, which the owners will enjoy on the south side of the house, as well as some vistas to the river. That's about it for the engineering component. I do provide some standards for Coastal Bank, for the ACEC. I provided you 2 alternatives analysis for the variances for the boathouse. So I hope the narrative is sufficient for your review. We did provide you elevations, house plans of the existing boathouse as well as the proposed boathouse. And Peter's here to answer any questions you may have of that. And at this point, I'm just going to turn it over to Teresa, who can go through her exhaustive restoration plans.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Teresa Sprague with Blue Flax Design. I'm just going to quickly go over the existing conditions on this site and then get into the project goals and our methodology and protocol. So as John pointed out, residential property within Pleasant Bay ACEC, NHESP, priority habitat, land subject to coastal storm flowage, et cetera. Most of the property within the buffer zone is developed with the house deck, gravel driveway, lawn, naturally vegetated areas existing along the property lines and the coastal bank. Property lines are vegetated with native cedar, black cherry trees, and invasive shrubs, including common privet shrub, honeysuckle. Ground covers comprise mainly of invasive English ivy and vine honeysuckle. The north property line has a dense stand, the south property line has a dense stand of non-native arborvitae, but they are healthy in providing screening to the adjacent property. There is some invasive ground cover underneath. Lawn extends to the top of the coastal bank. Set of wooden stairs in the center of the property lead down to the pier. There are three large pitch pines located to the north of the existing stairway right at the top of the coastal bank. They are healthy, overall in good condition. There is the coastal bank. Now moving on to the coastal bank, it's vegetated primarily with invasive vegetation, including privet, honeysuckle shrubs, and Asiatic bittersweet vines overgrowing and smothering the existing shrubs on the bank. There has been repeated pruning on this coastal bank, which has suppressed that invasive shrub growth, and the upside to that is that it has also allowed the existing cedar trees and cherry to remain in healthy condition. The vines have been cut, so the bittersweet vines have not invaded the existing trees on the site, which is a great thing because there are very healthy native eastern red cedar and cherry trees located on the bank that are mature size and have been protected. However, as we know, continued disturbance on the coastal bank tends to invite more invasive vegetation, which creates conditions that would also favor further vine expansion. We did note a limited number of Arrowwood viburnum shrubs. However, they are definitely stressed and in poor condition due to competition from invasive vegetation. But because we are seeing some native viburnum, we suspect that once the invasive vines and shrubs are removed, we will likely find some more native vegetation just being suppressed right now that would be allowed to regenerate. As we noted, towards the bottom of the bank, there's a very large, healthy native cedar and black cherry tree to the south of the stairs. The toe of the bank is stable with a substantial rack line intermixed with existing riprap and beach grass growing within and above the rack line. The boathouse is located to the north of the stairs. The slope around the boathouse is stable, obviously due to the cement foundation, the riprap, and the substantial rack line below. Surrounding areas are well vegetated with the same mix of invasive shrubs, as well as a very large autumn olive located just to the north of the boathouse. There is an old concrete set of stairs located within the riprap. They're stable, they're serving no function. We are proposing to remove those stairs as part of our restoration. The salt marsh is actually in very good condition with salt marsh cordgrass and the low marsh transitioning into high marsh community with salt meadow cordgrass, saltgrass, pickleweed, and sea lavender. The presence of the high marsh vegetation, the substantial rack deposits, the absence of erosion or scour indicate that the area is stable and is receiving enough sediment to support continued marsh growth and shoreline stability despite the foundation of the boathouse being in place. So while the foundation of the boathouse is stabilizing that bank, it is not blocking sediment to the marsh, so salt marshes continue to grow and healthy. So the project goals here for the Blue Flax portion of the project is to improve the value and function of the coastal bank. We want to restore and enhance the integrity by removing the invasive vegetation, removing the cement stairs that act as a barrier to stormwater flow. We are proposing in this case to remove the invasive vegetation by hand only. No machines will be used on the bank. All roots will remain within the ground to minimize ground disturbance, and we want to ensure that the slope around the boathouse remains stable and well vegetated. Really, the project that we're looking at as far as what our project and how this project coordinates with the boathouse restoration project is to balance the preservation of natural coastal processes, including continued sediment contribution to the coastal bank, with targeted measures to reduce erosion adjacent to the boathouse and protect the structure from the shoreline retreat. So really looking to remove the invasive vegetation, make sure that this coastal bank remains stable around the boathouse and throughout the coastal bank by restoring native vegetation throughout. In total, we're proposing to plant 383 native shrubs on the coastal bank, and at the top of the coastal bank. I should add that we are also proposing to remove some of the existing lawn at the top of the coastal bank to provide a modest vegetated buffer strip at the top of the coastal bank, measures between 8 and 10 feet where lawn currently exists. Non-native vegetation that's located to the north and south of the dwelling, non-native, non-invasive vegetation will remain. There's some forsythia, there's some lilac, the arborvitaes will remain. None of them are posing any adverse impact to the buffer zone, and if the list vegetation we have to remove, the better in our eyes. All of the trees will be protected through the invasive species management process. We are not proposing to remove any of the existing native trees on this coastal bank. All of the located cedars, pitch pine, and cherry trees will remain. Other native vegetation will remain, but may require regenerative pruning to help with the regrowth after they've been suppressed for so long by the invasive vines. So I will leave it there. Our process, when we go into detail to discuss the performance standards and how our part of the project meets the performance standards in detail on pages 13 through 16. I won't read those out to you individually, but I'm happy to answer any questions about them. Thanks.
Thank you. Before we get into comments, of which I'm sure there will be many, just to be clear, the proposed plans for the boathouse, are they adding volume to the boathouse? As far as I can tell, there's a raised loft area that doesn't currently exist.
I'm going to ask Peter to comment on that.
Good morning, I'm Peter Haig from Architectural Design. There is no increase in the volume. There's a loft there already.
Okay.
We're actually, at the front elevation closest to the water is being pulled back, and so the access would be via a deck on the front side. So the total volume is actually reduced within the structure.
Okay.
There is a loft area inside for storage.
Okay, thank you. All right, commissioners, David.
John, are you proposing flood vents?
Great question. I don't know if they would be required, given that it's a boathouse, but if it is required, we certainly could put flood vents.
I have a feeling that, I can't remember his name, in Boston, Erickson, that deals with FEMA regulations. It's been my experience in the past, you're supposed to do the best. I understand that you can't elevate it to elevation 14 because it renders its use as a boathouse useless. But given that fact, I'd like you to look into flood vents. And to segue on that, with your performance standards, could you address land subject to coastal storm flowage for us? Because I think that's an important part of this project. And we're currently reviewing and will be adopting new regulations on coastal resiliency, and that's a big part of it. So I would appreciate it when I assume this meeting will be continued, when you come back, if you could do those things for us.
I can take a look at that.
And then the only other thing, I know I'm going to have more, but so I'm not going to say that's it for me, John. I'll know I'll have more questions. I'm just going to ask you a couple right now. On your area calculations table, within the resource area, you have a net change of plus 49 square feet. That goes against what you told us at the beginning during your presentation, doesn't it?
Is that the step?
Well, that's the step. That's the deck. I mean, elevating it 4 feet, I need a landing and a set of stairs.
Okay.
49 square feet, and I thought I did say that we are expanding it by 49 square feet.
Okay.
And that is directly attributed to the access landing and
Okay.
stairway.
Thank you. That's all for now.
Okay.
Who wants to go next? Judith?
So I'm just a little confused. So you're pulling the boathouse back to provide a deck, but then you're adding deck and stairs to provide access?
No, I think if you look at the existing boathouse plans and the proposed boathouse plans, the footprint of the existing boathouse is, the front half of it is being converted to a porch landing, a porch area. So the actual boathouse itself is behind that porched area. That structure is being elevated 4 feet, which necessitates the stairway off the pathway and then a landing to get into the building.
It's the same footprint as.
Same footprint,
Converting
only
part of it
adding.
to
All up into it.
Okay.
It's not moving landward, it's just being reduced in size.
So I was surprised to hear you say that the boathouse is not part of the Chapter 91 license. I thought it was,
No.
I looked at that, it is not. It's just the revetment.
even though the foundation is serving as a revetment.
It's above the mean
It's
high water
above mean high
today.
water.
Okay.
You have a slab at 5.4, elevation 5.4, and a good estimate for mean high water in this area is 3.1.
Okay.
I agree with that elevation. I think you're being conservative with that, too.
Okay.
So, John, I know that some buildings that are, quote, boathouses are really residences, and the building commissioner and they're carried as such. They are habitable spaces, houses. Is this one of them?
No,
No. So this is a boathouse, a
yes.
structure that is for water-dependent activities.
I would agree with that, yes.
Yes.
So, don't we need a license? I mean,
No,
No. You-
can I explain?
sorry, yeah, please, David.
Because I feel like I caused some confusion, and especially to Dick. I mean, I didn't realize it wasn't on the license plan. The only comment we got back from the state, and we got it recently, was that if you're going forward with your aggregate stair removal, you need to modify the license plan and probably show them how you're gonna put that
And I,
area of the revetment back. Because the revetment and the pier, as you mentioned in your initial presentation, I think I confused the commissioners that are on site, John. That the license is for the pier and the revetment only.
Okay.
The boathouse is a boathouse. There's, unlike some of the other shorefront cottages that are licensed and in mean high water and such, and have to go up to meet building code flood elevations 1 foot above the BFE, lowest member, all that. This is not that.
So,
This is being raised to improve land subject to coastal storm flowage, of which it lies within, but it's not within the mean high water, triggering the need to be licensed as a boathouse.
okay, so a boathouse basically being water-dependent activities, we're talking about boats and related equipment.
I wanted to talk about that for a minute too, because that's a good segue. So when we deal with licensed boathouses, the state, through Chapter 91, regulates their use, and they call them water dependent. We don't regulate use here on Tuesday mornings. This is a boathouse. We peeked in the windows. It's used to store boats. But we can't put a use regulation on it, like, you can only sit in the living room between 7 and 9. We don't do that. So your performance standards, it was a laudable ask to try to meet the land subject to coastal storm flowage performance standards, because there are none, which is challenging for us. There's some locally, which you should consult, and there's a lot being discussed at the state level that I know Teresa is well aware of, and you guys can discuss. And I think to some extent, when we view the site and your proposal, we know that you address those, and I think in a good way. But we'll let you look at that and tell us just how well you think you're performing in relation to some of those things. But being down in the floodplain, in the coastal floodplain, and being within the Commonwealth's waterways are two different things. So we are not regulating the use here, but I agree with you, it is a boathouse. There's no bathroom or bedrooms down here like we have in some of the others.
Okay,
Not a
so
couple.
I did not peek in the windows, so you've gotten it.
Yeah, no.
Some of us did, yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Boats.
It was used
Yeah.
for storing
Yeah.
boats.
If I could.
So then, I guess that, then, to my mind, and I hear what you're saying, we don't regulate use. But in terms of looking at this and our regulations, and meeting our regulations in terms of blending in with the natural environment, and what its past and cultural and historical uses have been, and looking at the new plan, this is going to look very much like a residence. This is not going to look like a boathouse. You do not encase a boathouse in glass. Come sundown, this thing's gonna glow like an orange fire. It is going to be extraordinarily visible from the public view shed. It is going to draw your attention away from the natural beauty of this area.
Well, it sounds like you're not talking to me anymore, but let's agree that it is a boathouse. It's a proposed boathouse renovations. If you have concerns over other wetland
That's an
interests.
aesthetics concern.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
And
yes.
You can raise those today, and then
Yes.
the burden
And I
on the
guess the only reason I'm sort of combining or looking at the two is if this were a residence, a cottage, then to my mind, there's a little, it still needs to blend in, but there is a little more leeway, if you will, in terms of how it's designed, what the materials are, so that an individual might reside and live in it, as opposed to using it for storing boats, kayaks, life jackets, fishing gear.
Madam Chair, so we can get the conversation back on the application. I think we're in agreement. It's a boathouse, and it should be
Okay.
reviewed as such.
Boathouse.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Madam Chair?
yes, go ahead, David.
So I want to reiterate what John said about we don't regulate use. The Zoning Board of Appeals can regulate use, and this project has to go before the Zoning Board of Appeals, and all of the things that you're bringing up, I think are important for the Zoning Board of Appeals presentation. I think our job is to protect the resource areas to our fullest extent possible. And I will agree with you, it does not look like a boathouse. But we have our aesthetic criteria, which we can fall back on to a certain extent, but that portion of the approval for this, I believe, rests with the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I can tell you for a fact, they're getting much tougher, particularly with projects like this. So that's all I have to say,
Okay.
Tracy.
So let's get back to the aesthetics, because I have similar concerns. Obviously, right now, the boathouse blends in fairly well. It's weathered. There's the facing the river, and the public view shed is wood with a tiny little window. The proposal is replacing that wooden door with 4 sliding glass doors, 3 windows up above. And that's just the forward-facing portion. And then the side, there are many additional windows. So I think we do have a concern, especially since there's electricity down there. There's obviously going to be some interior lighting. I would like to see, I would like to say there's no exterior lighting on this boathouse. And if you're proposing any, we need a lighting plan. Because again, this whole thing is very visible from the public view shed, from across the way, from the river. And so I think a number of us have concerns in that area.
Sorry, just night sky as well?
Yeah.
And visibility after dark.
It's,
Even if there are no lights on the outside of the building, again, the entire building being glass is
Yeah.
lit up at night is gonna be extraordinarily visible.
It affects wildlife, all of that light. It affects the
Bird
birds.
strikes during the day.
So a lot of concerns about wildlife habitat and aesthetics.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, go ahead, Dick.
So I'd like to present this to the commission more, just for thought. We do have the performance standard aesthetics. And the burden of proof lies entirely on the applicant to demonstrate that their design does not cause an adverse impact to the historic view shed. I'm having problems with how I'm going to vote on this at this point in time, but I'd like to raise 2 points now that we've defined that it's not licensed. One is to mitigate the visual impact. This boathouse, if we go along with the plans, has a 63% glass facade on that west side. on the river. And I think that we have to look at that and justify the architectural departure from what we call historic boathouses. Please provide how replacing a traditional solid wood maritime facade with a modern wall of glass, how does that preserve the low profile vernacular historic character explicitly protected by our town bylaws and the ACEC management plan? So I just think that I would like the applicant to prove that this glass will protect our aesthetic interests.
Well, so just to be clear, Dick, the only regulation we have in this area is the aesthetics, and that means it should blend into its natural surroundings. So the historic or any other boathouses or any comparisons there are irrelevant for us. We can discuss our aesthetic regulation, and that's all we can discuss when it
But I
comes
think
to.
he is,
Yeah.
in terms of glass and
Well,
being very visible,
It's
as
the word,
opposed to.
what I'm trying to get us away from, Dick, is historic definition of a boathouse, what it should look like. None of those things are relevant for us, just to be clear. Your discussion of 63% glass, 100% relevant. The rest of it, not so much. So let's try to stick to our regs, that's all. Go on.
Thank you. No, that's really, that's where I'm at right now, is
Okay.
60% glass facade, especially on the river. And that's where I'm at.
Agree. I think you have a lot of agreement with the commissioners.
Jump off
Go
the
ahead.
boathouse?
I think we're in total agreement on
Yeah, yeah.
it not looking like a boathouse.
All right, let's move on to
So
other things.
jumping off the boathouse and crawling up the bank and.
Yeah,
Teresa, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just
Judith
have,
is-
sorry.
So it's a good plan. I love it. I would love to see even more of that lawn eliminated. And, I mean, it is a lot of structure within our jurisdiction on this property. Adding additional patios, et cetera. I'm very pleased that you kept it outside of the ACEC and the 50. That's commendable and that's great. But it does become a lot of lot coverage, if you will, a lot of structure. It would be very good by way of mitigation to have more than an 8 to 10-foot strip running along the top of the coastal bank. And I'm also very concerned about the use of a crane over virtually the only two screening trees on that property. So in terms of the buffer along the top, it would be great to have some screening canopy trees added to that mix, and also to better understand how we're going to be protecting those trees with a crane lifting panels over the top of them.
Yeah, to follow up on that, when we were on site, we all looked at those pine trees and looked at
Their
the
history.
construction protocol and the crane. We're like, that is the tallest crane I've
Can
ever
take
heard.
another look at that. I
Yeah.
think we can work around, that was the idea, is to, where the crane is staged,
Yeah,
and have him swing around, but we can take another look at that,
yeah, because,
address that.
It's
think
going
it's
to
gonna
be
be
hard to get
hard.
to that boathouse by crane without damaging those two large pines. And again, they are the only screening trees. I mean, I agree, Teresa, there's some great eastern red cedar down at the bottom and on the bank, but screening the actual house, very little.
we need to, yeah, we really have to try to.
We need some screening.
Oh, just to speak to the crane and the trees, Peter Haig did meet with the crane operator on site to see if this was even feasible before we presented it, because it's very limited options as far as construction. We completely did consider, coming in by barge, and immediately pushed that aside as not a feasible option. So the crane was the most feasible option, and the crane operator could get in and around the structure and stage to the south of those pitch pines, so closer to the stairs at the top of the bank, and construct from that way to protect those pitch pines, because we made sure it was clear that those pitch pines had to remain. They were not to be damaged or removed. So it is feasible. And then as far as structure in the buffer zone, I think what John was pointing out is that while there is a small increase in structure, in proposed structure with the stairs to the boathouse, there is a decrease in structure within the 50 and 100-foot buffer zones. So the deck is being reduced significantly. So the patio is, even with the addition of the patio, there's a net reduction in both the 50 and 100-foot buffer zones. So we were trying to balance the the removal of lawn for the homeowners as their recreational area with the decrease in structure within the 50 and 100-foot buffer zones, but we will certainly discuss with the homeowner increasing that buffer strip at the top of the bank.
Okay, Tim, you haven't had a chance.
I just have, I'm just getting back, I love the project, you did a lot of detail and such, and I really appreciate all the work that has gone into it. I'm just gonna go back to the aesthetics, and I agree with Dick in the glass. I just have another issue, and maybe it's really not an issue, I don't know, but it's the front porch. To me, that's not aesthetically, I don't think that'll fit in aesthetically, but that's my opinion.
I think, I mean, yeah, I mean, you guys address it with natural materials, whatever. Okay. Anything else? David?
When I sat where you're sitting, the last thing that I wanted was to have the commission redesign a project for me. But I do have, it's just a comment for Peter, Peter Haig. I understand why the applicant might want to sit in this boathouse and look out at the river. If I owned it, that's what I'd want to do. But there are ways with sliding wooden doors or wooden doors that open that would still give the applicant the opportunity to enjoy the views and vistas from this and retain boathouse characteristics. I'm not suggesting that that's what you do, and I apologize for redesigning a project, but I had to make that point. Thank you.
Okay.
Good point, yeah.
Other things other than aesthetics?
John, I was really interested in the narrative on page 2 about the tidal action and how often the structure is subject to it or not subject to it. And I agree with Dave that raising it 4 feet is conservative. And I was reading your performance standard, and he said to really get, to meet the 100 flood zone, 100-year flood would be 9 feet. And I thought about that, and I wondered if there was any middle ground that you considered between 4 and 9. At what point does the equation start to break down as you laid out here?
Well, how we came up with the 4-foot raise was we took someone's memory of what happened in the boathouse from Hurricane Bob, and it was 12 to 18 inches. That's the distance that we had, and we simply doubled it and rounded up and got to that 4-foot rise.
Okay.
And, you know, we did initially talk about elevating it to 14 feet, and that caused all sorts of problems with making it jump right off the bank and just being an eyesore no matter how it was designed. And also impacting the vista and the house impact on the screening from the house. So, in talking with the owners, you know, we rationalized the 4-foot by looking at what the historic flood was doubling that, and then adding some conservative, good engineering judgment on top of that.
Thank you for the color. And just as a completely naive reader, how should I look at the load chart data that you provided for the crane? What is the intention there in terms of
I hate to say it, but
educating
on the
us?
structural class that I went to college for, I through most of it, so.
Okay.
We can have those, I can ask Peter to divulge on his crane people, so we can provide that information.
Okay, I just, it's a lot of numbers, and I wasn't quite sure what the point
I
was.
think it has to do with the lifting ability of the crane, how far the boom is extended, the reach, what's its limitations, so the crane operator knows
Torque.
what it can do.
All about torque, okay.
You know, size of crane needed, so that, again, to Peter's credit, he brought a crane operator out
Right.
to look at the situation and make sure that what we were proposing, I didn't give the color, Teresa did, but we did look at, you know, they did look at other options.
Okay.
And the crane is definitely something that could work here.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you.
Just for historic reference, I would point out that Hurricane Bob hit at low tide on the river, and the tide has come up a foot since Hurricane Bob hit us. So for your information, doubling it might not be quite enough, but take a look at your elevations
Well,
again.
the goal here is not to alleviate flooding in the building. If
Yeah.
we were trying to do that, it would be 9 feet
Okay.
taller. So
Right.
the owner is accepting the risk.
Okay.
and we're just trying to minimize the risk.
David's point earlier, you know, flood vent, whatever is going in and out of that boathouse underneath it when the flooding hits.
Yeah, we can check the code to see if flood vents would be required.
I can give you the contact of a man with FEMA in Boston that I think you'll find to be very helpful. His last name is Erickson, I just can't remember his first name.
Okay. Judith, you had something
Yeah,
else?
so, and again, I am clearly struggling as the person least able to pick up on this concept of absolutely not looking at use. But use is what's driving this. I mean, if this is a boathouse, which it purportedly is, frankly, you don't care if it floods. It's got boats. It's sort of meant to flood. So we have seen a couple boathouses, you know, honest to goodness, real boathouses that have lifted 2 to 3 feet, maybe some 4, mostly to keep waves from crashing against them in big storms and completely demolishing them. But if the worst that can be recalled is a foot of water, and this is a boathouse, not to talk about use, why is it even being raised? It is going to make it much more, far more visible. It is going to add impact to the public view shed. So I continue to get hung up on this question of use and aesthetics and impact on our resource areas, all of those good things. I mean, if we wanted to absolutely not impact in any way the environment, I think we would be insisting that this thing go on pillars, on pilings, and be completely elevated so that the bank could be restored behind it with no revetments or obstruction. I mean, you start going absolutely.
That's not possible.
And I'm not even suggesting that, but I'm just saying that we go in between, or you're attempting to go in between in order to kind of make it more useful, but it's still gonna be a boathouse, but we can't consider that it's gonna be a boathouse because it doesn't meet our criteria. Forgive me, I
And
know
that's-
that's rambling, I'm having a
Yeah,
hard
let's-
time.
And that's why I suggested early on to John about addressing performance standards to land subject to coastal storm flowage as few and as minimal as they currently may be. That is going to come a long way toward the way that I vote on this project, because that's a resource area that we need to be protecting.
Maybe we need to look at
The
zoning
building,
board
the
first.
building couldn't be lifted up, it couldn't be moved back, it's built into the hill. They've already reduced the size of it some, but I'm looking at the resource areas that we need to protect.
Perhaps we need to have the zoning board weigh in on this before we do, so that.
They don't, the zoning board is the last call. No one can, they don't take any projects until a project has been before every other board in the town.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments specific to the project, John?
I just have a few things I'd like to walk through. I think, starting with DEP, I think maybe you saw the file number was issued with a couple of comments. One, that your project was taking place adjacent to Salt Marsh, and you should, advice to the commission that the project should meet the performance standards for that. You're not proposing any work in it, but I think in relation to your project, which I should pause and say, very complete filing. I've had the pleasure to meet with the new homeowners and the applicant's team in advance of these, and it was a very complete filing, and I appreciate, excuse me, that you've addressed, I think, a lot of the advice I gave you during those 2 sessions, so that's always nice to see. But in relation to the DEP comments in Salt Marsh, John, I think, and Teresa, maybe it's the sand nourishment which serves as a backfill if the slab were to come out, something that protects the marsh against, downdrift impacts if that were to go mobile in a storm event, perhaps. That could be monitoring, that could be end of the project monitoring, that could be a restoration clause or something like that. Also down by the water, I gave you I drew attention to DEP's comment on the minor modification perhaps, or just clarification from the Waterways Division on the removal of the aggregate stair.
Through the chair, I do have an email into Brendan
Wonderful.
McKee up there.
Yep.
The stairway is actually shown on the license plan, which
Yes, yep.
helps us. And I've asked him point blank if we can, with removing the stairway, can we simply, similar-sized stones, put them back in the location?
If
So
he-
I'm waiting for that response.
If that's your proposal, then I think we would just get some finer points on the stones and when they're to come
Yeah,
in.
okay.
Um,
A good point, John.
And just the match grade, I don't know what you'll need to submit to Chapter 91, but anything that you do.
That was my question,
Yeah.
will the new plan be
We-
needed or not?
We met on, we didn't meet on site, but when we were on site, I think I characterized it as, I think you're gonna just try to match the grade of the slope of
Yeah,
the
we
existing.
I don't really want to take stones out of the revetment to move them to where the stairs are, because it kind of defeats the purpose, because it is pretty well functioning at this point. So similar-sized stones, and we can spec that all out on our return visit. Similar-sized stones to be placed in irregular fashion.
Something on that, I think, if we continue, might be helpful, and then see what advice you get from waterways. Moving up through the resource areas on the, and there's just boathouse all over these plans, so I'm gonna keep calling it a boathouse, is what we agreed it is. But on the architectural plans, we met and we talked about, even though there's no state regulation, or sorry, performance standards for land subject to coastal storm flow, which obviously the commission later today in your agenda, you talk about some. And I think the state-of-the-art is known by those that are in these projects, like us, like John and Teresa, perhaps. But at that time, there is a boathouse down there on a four-wall concrete block foundation with a slab. And some of the modern standards are to modify structures to allow coastal processes to take place underneath the structures that are still within the floodplain. And so I conveyed that advice, even though it's not in CMR 10 just yet, and may never be, who knows. But that's some of the stuff that communities are talking about, the Alliance is talking about. When we used to use Greg Berman at Woods Hole, he talked about. So I understand too, there's always, through design and your consideration of your homeowners' wants and wishes, there's always a fine point where, I think a previous speaker mentioned the ideal foundation is a pile-supported foundation, where processes can take place underneath that fairly unimpeded. But the midpoint that you ended up with, which I thought was pretty good, which is almost like, I don't know what percentage, but 80% of the slab, I think, comes out with this proposal. The helical piles will go in, so there is 6 new piles to support the proposed boathouse. And then leaving the 12-inch concrete masonry wall, necking down to an 8-inch, and nothing under the porch as proposed. That was a balance that I think I heard from you retains the toe of the bank, because it's already cut into the toe of the bank and doesn't cause instability. A stable coastal bank is an important function. So I get the balance, it's what you proposed, I thought it was a good, decent ending point. I tried to explain to some on site the concept of leaving the 4-foot slab as ballast, and I did my best. I didn't attend nor sleep through any structural classes, but I tried to explain the lock-in of the toe of the footing, et cetera. So I think I understood that, and maybe if you don't understand that, I think the applicant has a good feeling on why they're leaving that. If there's any scour that takes place against the hard slab that's remaining, it'll be 4 feet away from the foundation, not jeopardizing. I heard that in detail. I'm not sure you guys covered that today, but I thought that was good. I'm not gonna touch the aesthetics. I think it is a local wetland interest that you do need to meet, and I don't know how to. I think you've had some attempt from commissioners to just put the burden on you of their opinion of the aesthetics, wetland interest, and allow you to maybe look at alternatives that try to meet it. I'll just leave it at that. But taking on the coastal bank, your area calculations table was good. It was really, everything's a reduction in the project that I see, with the exception of the stoop getting into the boathouse because it goes up 4 feet to, again, allow some processes to take place underneath it. So I thought that was really great. You're taking on a huge bank, and I thought the new 8 to 10 foot buffer is good. If there's the ability to do more, I think even better. Our regulations do require what we call filter strip, which is 0 to 25 where none exists. So I think that's helpful. I noted on both plans that I deciphered your code. When the commission made the onsite, we went to where we thought the crane may perch to do the work. And I'll digress for a minute and say, I think a crane is a huge commitment. And it's one that I have seen work excellent, and that was used. The bags and used were from a crane on a barge, take down a lot of the structures on Simpson Island. So I think it's a technique that can be very protective. I think I'd like to know some more about it. I think maybe on the civil plan, can you show us the construction access and where the crane might perch, and if they're gonna use crane mats to deal with load at the top of this bank? I don't know if there's a concern over that. I think parking at the top of the bank and then lifting, I feel like, I don't know, the crane operator probably knows more about how to safely do that and not
We can
impact.
easily add that to the civil plan.
I think that'll be helpful.
Would be helpful.
I did decipher the code on the trees, so I think, P is pine, 22 inches, your DBH. Red, is that the ribbon that you hung
Those
around
are-
it?
Yes.
Okay, and so I can then decipher that you found some cedars, at 8-inch and 12-inch DBH, and they were with orange. So those trees are on the civil plan, they're also on the Blue Flags plan.
Yep.
We are concerned about those trees and the methodology around the crane. That's already been raised by a previous speaker, I think confirmation, those are 3 pitch pines, 22-inch DBH, fairly big, one is 16.
Yep.
Large trees, screening trees, providing an aesthetic benefit to some of the commissioners that made the onsite, just triple confirming that those won't be hurt or harmed in any way when you're swinging the bags or swinging the new panels down for your boathouse rebuild, if it were to be approved. And then we did look.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, keep going. We did look at the deck reconfiguration, the onsite, and again, your area table, I think nets out good. The portion of the dwelling that's being converted inside is outside the ACC, so you don't need anything from me on that. But the project does need NHESP. We haven't had that yet, so you will be continuing today. And I think, I don't know what to say about the flood vents, but yeah, it will flood. But what the vents do is they allowed the flood waters to come and go. And so it's almost maybe a benefit to the building if you can incorporate some of those. That's kind of my current list. That's all.
I will add, in terms of the stair access, to have the proper spacing on anything there, and also on the, is it a porch or a deck? I mean, if we can get some spacing on the board so that anything that is trying to
Deck-
grow
deck
underneath can grow, can get some sunlight. that-
3/4 inch would be
Yeah,
good.
Oh,
that's something I didn't see any specs on, so if you could add that in, that'd be helpful.
One more thing, when you look at architectural drawings, there was, I think, a light to the right of the door of the boathouse. There was one light on it. I don't think there was anything on the seaward face, but there's the entry door that we peeked in and saw all the boats, lots of boats in there. There was a, whatever you call it. Yeah, onion lamp to the right. I had a question on the chimney.
Correct.
My question on the chimney was, maybe for Peter or John, is the foundation of the chimney to the ground now?
It is.
Is the foundation of the proposed chimney gonna be to the ground?
It is.
It will need to be. Is there any way to not have that go to the ground and eliminate some footprint?
I think we can look at that.
What is it serving? I'm just curious. Just a wood stove or something like that for wood shop?
All right, any other questions, Commissioners? Tim?
I was just concerned about the crane. In the news and such, you sometimes hear cranes topple. So I would hope that if a storm does come or whatever, that they bring in everything to make it so that the crane isn't way up and such. Just safety measures, that's all. Because if that thing ever did topple onto the bank.
We've asked
it
for
would-
more information about the crane. I
It would be
imagine non-toppling is part
Yeah,
of that.
and at our, to just share some on-site, at our on-site, we kind of walked out what we thought might be the construction access of the crane. And, I think most of the trees that the crane will have to push through are outside of our jurisdiction, but they were large oaks. But we were curious about how you were going to get the crane back.
Okay, I think we've beaten the crane to death. Anything else,
Yeah,
Commissioner?
the town did lose a lobster
Okay.
place with a crane accident, so I think it's,
Madam Chair, I have
things do happen.
Go ahead, Dick.
John, if you'd be so kind to give us a volume of the sand. We have been talking about the sand as over the slab. How much sand is going in there? We haven't really gone on that. Kind of, in the natural resource end of things, what type of sand? Where are we getting that sand from? If it is going to be sediment that may renourish into the marsh area. You get my, is it 30 cubic, 20 cubic, that type of idea. I'm with John on the existing chimney. There was no real mention on how the chimney is being constructed or even the materials it is being constructed with. And then the last question is, Dave Little, you asked about a cross-section at our last meeting, and that may be helpful also. We still looking for a cross-section?
Well, we did get one from Peter Haig, but given the site, and I think John helped him out to provide this cross-section. I think an engineered cross-section with the elevations on it, showing the flood zone and things like that would be helpful.
That would be no problem.
Anything else, guys?
Thank you, Dick.
Just again, for me to reiterate that the boathouse being in 4 resource areas plus the ACEC, this is like,
Yeah.
it magnifies our regulations
very high
tremendously. It is a
burden here.
very high burden, and as it exists now, I could not approve it.
Ken?
Teresa, just to go back to the vegetated buffer strip.
Yes.
To 10 feet. Is that the yellow
Yes.
coloring? I was just curious, why did you stop it where you did?
We were just trying to match it to the, there's some concrete in the ground, which we had talked about potentially removing just at the top of the stairs. We didn't see any purpose in removing it. It's concrete, it's fairly innocuous. To dig that out, we don't know how deep it goes. So what we did was we pulled the vegetated buffer strip just to match that, and that's the entrance. All I can imagine is maybe at some time in the past there was a landing, something that was resting on top of that concrete, but the concrete's just in the ground. I was more concerned about the amount of disturbance to remove it versus leaving it. So we just brought that vegetated buffer strip up to the edge to create just a continuous buffer strip at the top.
Okay, and then you keep going on the other side.
Yes.
And then I was curious, then you kind of stop.
Well, we match because the coastal bank dips down
Dips
on
down.
the south, so we just were matching. So that is naturally a vegetated buffer strip already there. Of course, it's completely invaded. We'll be restoring all of that, but that just matches that vegetated buffer strip on that south side.
Are you restoring the foundation planting beds?
We are not. Those are part of the Dave Hawk design. Would you like to see detail on the foundation plan?
Yeah, I think especially to the extent that they're in the 50.
If they're native? Sometimes Dave Hawk and we don't necessarily agree on what's
Well,
native.
I will have a discussion with Dave. We were just showing the area of foundation planting beds as he was showing on his landscape design
That
plan.
would be helpful.
Okay, will do.
True natives.
The buffer between the northern patio and the edge of the property line,
Yes.
that's a wildlife corridor, obviously. And
Yes.
it's pretty darn narrow, and now with a fire pit there and a grill and presumed increased activity there, I don't know if there's anything you can do to reduce the patio or beef up
We can certainly
what you're
look at that.
planting there to provide more cover.
Sure, we can absolutely look at that.
Okay.
We are planting an additional tree in that area to create a little bit of screening just inside the 100-foot buffer zone. We're adding a cedar tree and then planting that out. But we can certainly see if we can widen that vegetated buffer along the northern property line.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And think screening from the public view shed as well. I
Of
understand
course.
screening from the neighbors, but think screening from the public view.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I think the existing cedars are really doing a great job of that, and the pines on the north and the cedars on the south. So we felt that there was adequate screening of the house from the public view shed. Of course, there's not much we can do about the boathouse as far as screening.
No, but
Yeah.
the middle, I mean, the two sides are well screened on this property, but the middle, there's no screening.
Right. I mean, there is an existing vista that way. They'd like to maintain their view, their view shed, but
Filtered view. Think filtered view.
yeah, well, I think with the one thing I will say is with this plan, we are proposing to plant shrubs, including beech plum, bayberry, arrowwood, viburnum, that will be able to reach mature fruiting size and will not be cut. Like right now, everything is being topped to keep the invasive vegetation at bay. So once this is completely restored, all pruning will cease on the coastal bank and within the buffer strip. So I think that's a net positive, and I think that will also help with the public view shed.
Okay, anything else? Let's try to move on here, folks. Is there any public comment on this project in the room? Or if you have a public comment, please come to the podium and introduce yourself.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm James Peters, and we're the adjacent property owners at 36 Jackknife Point. And some of the proposed work could affect our view corridor and potentially our shared coastal bank. So we have a few questions to better understand the full scope of our neighbor's project. For the board's understanding, the front of our home is slanted on our lot so that our deck and kitchen look directly across our neighbor's viewpoint over where the boathouse is, if you look at Ken's Point, to see where we're coming from. So first, the boathouse. Will the reconstructed boathouse remain the same overall height at the roof line as the existing structure now?
No. It'll be taller.
So that will be 4 feet taller than it is now?
Correct.
Yes, that is, yes.
Okay. And then the chimney will be above that?
Usually 3 feet.
Chimney will exceed the peak.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has to, yeah.
So that will be impacting our aesthetic view line.
Well, I don't know about
And-
that.
So any further looks that we could take a look at the plans or anything would be appreciated as neighbors. Then the house and garage expansion. We understand there may also be additions planned for the house and garage on the side of the property to the south. Sounds like the garage is being removed, and you stated earlier that that will become living quarters. Where is the garage then going to be placed?
There'll be no
I think it's
garage.
outside of our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we could have a separate conversation about that, or just like to see. And then, understanding about the crane and being a neighbor, we would like just to understand exactly where that crane will be placed to do the work during the construction time. And when the construction will take place, we'd like to know too as neighbors. Understanding that you have to go through more zoning and commission, et cetera. Lastly, the coastal bank work. Will the grading, drainage, or the contours of the bank change?
No.
No. Okay. And then, so all like stormwater patterns and erosion on the coastal concerns is a butter will.
Hopefully it'll be improved.
The goal is to improve, yes.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment in the room? Online, Mia, anybody?
No raised hands.
Okay, what date are you looking at for continuation?
December? At least a month.
Yeah.
We try a month out.
Where are we at, Christina?
We'd like to do the 18th.
Okay,
That's August 18th?
August
Just
18th.
18th,
Yep.
please.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
Yes, you may. I move to continue the project at 34 at Jackknife Point Road to August 8th,
18th.
sorry, August 18th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Lucy, aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you very much.
Thank you for your time
Thank you
this
for all
morning.
this information.
Okay, next order of business, continuation Chandelud 0317 and 317A South Orleans Road by Environmental Consulting and Restoration, map 69, parcels 14, 13, and 15. The proposed renovations of an existing boathouse, including new roofing, siding, windows, doors, flooring, and superficial foundation repairs. The project includes a new access deck at the front and a seasonally removable floating stairway at the back of the boathouse. Project also includes native mitigation plantings and new underground utilities. Work will occur within the 100-foot buffer zone to a salt marsh on a coastal bank, within land subject to coastal storm flowage, and within the Pleasant Bay ACEC. And hopefully we've got someone online.
Dave, are you all alone today?
I thought Cameron was gonna be online. I see
Okay.
that he is online, so we'll have to.
He is.
Okay, here we go.
But I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay.
Good evening, Commission. Cameron Larson here with ECR. Can you hear me all right?
We can, and it seems like evening, but it is still morning.
Oh, good morning. Yeah, sorry about that. Good morning.
Apparently a long night.
Well, we're joining you this morning after our last two meetings together that led to lengthy discussions and plan revisions and all that. As we had left it, we were expecting staff to put together some orders of conditions and special conditions that were going to be discussed today and hopefully ultimately be voted for approval. So happy to listen in to any discussion on the conditions, but I think we know what we're getting into today.
So you have seen those facts, findings, and conditions, and do you have any comments on them?
I'll be honest, I have not seen those at this point. I don't know if staff got those out to our team or not, but I was not included on that correspondence.
Okay,
Yeah, so I guess the hearing's still open, and you did direct staff to prepare some facts, findings, and special conditions to accompany
Okay.
order of conditions.
So
I did
Commissioner-
include this, Cameron, in the digital packet. I didn't, with the holiday, I didn't do a draft Form 5, which would be fairly standard, as well as I didn't post to our digital packet our boilerplate of standard conditions, which are fairly typical. But I did post the detail that I would like to run through with you, if I could.
Well, yeah, just ask commissioners if they have any immediate questions before John runs through them all after reviewing them from your packet.
The run-through first.
Okay, all right, go ahead, John.
So at your direction, to prepare something for your consideration for approval today, I drafted some more specific facts, findings, and special conditions to accompany an order conditions if you choose to issue one. Again, didn't draft a Form 5 just yet, and didn't circulate our standard conditions on all orders of conditions in either the digital packet or your packet today. But specifically, projects of this type, for detailed projects down by the shore, perhaps warrant this kind of detail. So I did draft something for you. It's 4 pages in total. And there's some presumptions in here because you've yet to act on anything, obviously. And then there's a couple of suggestions I want to review, but I always start with the facts. We recite here that we received the notice by 4/28/26. We go over in the facts your hearing dates as well as your vote, which you've yet to take, so I highlighted that in gray. But that would be a fact if you voted today on it. I don't think there's 7 voting members, but we'll get that number right. And then after review and discussion, you voted to issue the order. And specifically, we list in the facts section all the documents that reflect the final project that you reviewed. And there are 5 specific documents: the notice of intent filed by ACR, the plan showing the boathouse, and we received a revised plan dated 6/29/26 that shows the rebar removal at your request. The mitigation plan dated 4/20 and revised 6/6. The renovations plan by Cape Associates dated 6/4. And an additional memo by ECR dated 6/8. In addition to that, you got some correspondence through your hearings. There are 3 items there, 1 from Marine Fisheries, 2, an email from Ben Zender to our office, and 3, the DEP file number, which they did make significant comments in this file number issuance form, so we cited that as well. Then transition into drafting some findings for you to, you can, if you act on this today, you'd be kind of agreeing with these, and you can edit any of these as, when I complete my presentation, I suppose, but I'm gonna progress through them. There are many. Finding A, just finding that it's a complete filing. Filing B, a finding for your coastal bank under the CMR 1030 and also under the Orleans Wetlands Regs. That no alteration other than the installation of the utilities and the vegetation management will take place, and then ending in a finding that it's still providing the same level of storm damage prevention and flood control. Finding C, a finding that the boathouse is a water-dependent structure. We talked about this, and so this, some of our debate of the previous application, this is, you're gonna make a finding here. It is. And so this is a statement by you, even though it's not subject to any Chapter 91 license just yet. This is a statement by you that it is a boathouse. So this is a lot of what we talked about in the previous agenda item. And that it dates back to 1938, which was evidenced by aerial imagery. Finding D, that the boathouse lies within land subject to coastal storm flowage, by definition cited, and that, again, trying to make a finding here without a performance standards is somewhat awkward. We discussed about that a little bit in the previous agenda item as well, but I drafted one here for your consideration. So a finding with land subject to coastal storm flowage, and then a sentence included saying, through these modifications, the seaward face of the boathouse will remain open as maintained, and maintained as such to allow for unobstructed water ebb and flow underneath the proposed deck. Those are words picked right from the ECR's memo to you. And then a last sentence, while the completed project still remains within land subject to coastal storm flowage, the proposed modifications as water-dependent structure should allow for improvement of coastal processes to take place with less interruption. That's a suggestion by me. Whether you agree with it or not should be discussed. Finding E, a finding for the ACEC, especially kind of ending in the fact that the materials presented to date, the boathouse doesn't increase in size, volume, or footprint, was in existence since 1938, and NOI doesn't modify its location, therefore the project will not adversely affect. Finding F, this was a finding around the mitigation plan dated 4/20/26, specifically that it shall provide a benefit to wildlife habitat, a wetland interest, and overall betterment. Those words were lifted right from the ECR memo. Finding G, salt marsh, a finding that no work was proposed or approved. But I wanna make this, and so I'm gonna cover it here, and I'll cover it in special conditions. But a finding that if alteration, so no salt marsh alteration is approved of this order. If any unintended disturbance to salt marsh will be covered by special conditions detailed below, and I'll get to what I would gonna recommend we cover any order with. The summary finding that we always make, hereby approving the project with special conditions. And then jumping into special conditions, the first one's the most significant, I think, which was per the DEP comments noted in the correspondence item number 3, a Chapter 91 license may be required for the work described in this order of conditions. Therefore, no work, and I think I want to put including vegetation management, is authorized under this order until Chapter 91 license has been received and provided to the commission, or until DEP Chapter 91 Waterways Division has determined that, and notice the Conservation Commission in writing, that no 91 license is required for this work. That was discussed. You can correct my overly verbose approach to try to deal with this, but that's a significant, and the applicant is aware of this, they'll need to go on and secure that approval. 2 is just a pre-construction. Special condition 3 is the time of year restriction related to the boathouse renovations, only allowing to occur between November 1 and April 1. 4 is something I wanted to present on behalf of the Salt Marsh. So going back to the finding that no alteration was proposed to the Salt Marsh, but the boathouse lies within Salt Marsh, as we know, and being a little bit nervous about Salt Marsh, I wanted to carry a special condition, or just introduce a suggestion to you for your consideration today. A special condition related to the Salt Marsh, and it's really a basic one, but it will require some work. It cites all the protection access over the Salt Marsh per the ECR narrative. That means the marsh mats, the tarps during that particular time of year window only, but also includes once work is complete, ECR will be required to inspect the Salt Marsh within 30 days from April 1 of any calendar year. That would be any winter work that took place has to conclude at that date, and we would want an inspection. They're looking for damage and file a report with the commission with details of their findings. If any damage has occurred to Salt Marsh, the applicant shall file an appropriate restoration plan for any affected areas. We could talk about that. And special condition that no exterior lighting was number 5, and number 6 was work related to vegetation management. And the initial removal of vegetation shall only be allowed to take place after bird nesting season. This is a suggestion by me because I know one of you was going to put this on there anyways, and I can never remember the dates that person suggests, but I think it's kind of clearing takes place on the coastal banks post-September. And so like maybe.
Yeah, I would say after September 1st and prior to February 28th.
Right, and so,
Be specific.
so that's just the clearing, and then planting and replanting shall not be subject. So it's just a fine point on, when to clear, and then we don't restrict the planting with the TOY. That's a fairly comprehensive set of facts, findings, and special conditions, and I think it should be discussed. I did offer one suggestion that we modify special condition number 1 to include after the words "no work," therefore, no work, including vegetation management. I think I missed that. I don't know as if anyone has any other suggestions. And then, because I've highlighted them, maybe Cameron has questions or anything, especially since I am proposing to require his firm do an inspection post-construction for the salt marsh damage.
Right. Commissioners, anything?
Very good, very complete, and I like the additions that you've put in, John. Very, very helpful.
The only thing I added, and I'll give it to Christina after, is some commas and things, just a little grammar here and there. That's,
Obviously, I'm terrible at that.
Yeah. I
But,
mean, not yes, you're terrible
Yes,
at
you
that.
so,
Cameron, do you have anything? Any responses?
I do not. That all sounds very reasonable. Christina did forward me it, so I was kind of following along as we were going here. So the special conditions are reasonable. So no further comment.
Okay, great, thank you.
So, Madam Chair, with that on process, so we have everything enabling you to act. If you do act to issue an order for the project, I should have dated these. I didn't date them either. But you would issue them, let's date them today, subject to the facts, findings, and special conditions dated today, as with that it's suggested. I think I made one on page 3. That allows this to become an instrument of the order of conditions, so.
I would just say with edit suggested, because there's multiple, because we're adding dates and we're doing this and that.
Yeah, and based on your vote, we'll get the highlighted section on page 1 and your voting count correct.
Yes. Okay, anything else? All right, can I get a motion?
Okay, deep breath. I move to approve the project at 0.
Close the hearing.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah,
still.
sorry.
Yeah, we
We have-
did leave
we're
the hearing
still
open,
open. Yeah,
yes.
we gotta
You
close
can
it.
ask
Closed
for
it.
public comment before.
No, I think it's still open.
Yeah, we left it open at the last hearing, I think.
Is there any other
I'm
additional
sorry,
public
but this
comment?
says on 7-7, the Conservation Commission voted 7-0 to close the public hearing.
And that was highlighted in gray because it's presumptive. You haven't done that yet.
The dates are going to change.
Yeah.
Thought I hit that.
Okay, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
I move to close the public hearing.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Chrissy, aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Now a motion on the project.
I move to approve the project at 317 and 317A South Orleans Road, referencing the project narrative by Environmental Consulting and Restoration dated 4/22/26, the additional information memorandum provided by ECR dated June 8th, 2026, the site plan by TS Land Surveying dated 4/11/25, the mitigation and restoration plan by ECR dated 4/20/26, revised on June 6th, 2026, the landscape plan, the renovation plan to the Dulude Building submitted by Cape Associates dated 6/4/26, the proposed boathouse renovations by TS Land Surveying dated 4/11/25, revised 12/4/25, revised 4/8/26, revised 4/17/26, revised 6/1/26, and revised one last time on 6/29/26. And the facts, findings, and special conditions dated 7/7/26, submitted by Conscom staff.
Nicely done. Any
Nice.
other discussion? Okay. We have a second?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Drusy, aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
My second was
set.
too soft.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Cameron. Okay.
Thank you, Commission. Have a nice day.
Our next order of business, Frederick and Patricia Eppinger, 32 Hayward Lane by J.C. Engineering, map 50, parcel 10. The proposed construction of a detached garage. Work will occur within the 100-foot buffer zone to the top of the coastal bank within the Pleasant Bay ACEC. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Am I Melly with JC Engineering? The project here at 32 Lane, we've had a few meetings for this one. This is a proposal for a detached garage. We've heard your comments, and we've continued to try to improve our proposal and provide the recommended recommendations. So we've updated the plan with a few of the items that were requested, such as the 75-foot buffer to the coastal bank. We've also made reference to the ID number that was used for determining mean high water. I know there was some requests for more information on grading, so I'll talk about that a little bit. The rear and two sides of the garage proposed grades are intended to closely match the existing grades. The only really change would be the front face of the garage, where we'd kind of level it out just to have a flat, vehicle entry surface. As far as, volume calculations, we came up with approximately 50 cubic yards of material that's going to be altered. However, we've tried to balance the cuts and fills so we can avoid needing to bring in or remove any material. As for the mitigation, we've kept the previous 5 mitigation areas that we had on the last revised plan. We've now added a sixth mitigation area at the, in the portion of the driveway there that comprises about 608 square feet. As I said, it will be existing gravel driveway that'll be converted. It's surrounded by natural vegetation on 3 sides, and that's gonna bring our total mitigation area up to about 1,708 square feet. We've also increased the amount of trees to be planted with the intention of meeting the 2-to-1 ratio. Looking at our list, we selected the shadbush species, which on the planting list we reviewed, that was under the small tree category, but we're certainly happy to use alternatives to meet that 2-to-1 ratio. And lastly, we have on the easterly side of the property, That entire eastern portion of the chain link fence, we have proposed to convert that to split rail fence. That's approximately 130 linear feet, and we believe that would be a good attempt to sort of provide connectivity with plant species and native wildlife. In doing so, there's also just a small section of fence connecting the shed to the now split rail fence that would be removed, and we'd propose a new fence just connecting that shed now to the rear fence that's currently existing along the retaining wall. So just to summarize the mitigation techniques we're applying here, we've provided stormwater control for the proposed garage. We have a nearly 2-to-1 ratio for planting mitigation area, a 2-to-1 ratio for tree planting, and about 130 feet of fence to be converted. With that, I'd be happy to elaborate on any of that or answer any questions the board may have.
Okay. Commissioners, comments? Tim?
I just want to confirm that the garage is still in the ACEC, am I correct?
Correct.
Then I'm going to refer to the performance standards of new improvements, where it says, "It is the responsibility of the applicant to show, using credible evidence from a competent source, that the proposed activity will have no adverse effect, either immediate or cumulative, of the ACEC resources. Additionally, there shall be performance standards of no adverse impact within 100 feet, and so on." But I haven't seen any secondary sources for this. Do you have any? Is what I'm asking appropriate?
I mean, you know, I think what they're saying is their attempt to prove that there'll be no adverse impact is because they're mitigating in other areas to
Right,
equal
but
it out.
our bylaws say that they need to have a second source, am I right?
No.
Okay. Sorry. Then I will continue to listen to the other
Okay.
commissioners.
Anybody else? Judith?
Yeah, so I do appreciate the mitigation. I think particularly the fence is very helpful to get rid of the chain link fence in favor of the split rail. To me, that mitigation does not rise to the level that would make up for the negative impact of putting a garage in the ACEC. And I appreciate that this is an impossible lot to try to put a garage into the ACEC. But I can't vote in favor of it because it's just not there for me.
At the very minimum, I would say that the mitigation needs to be at least 2-to-1, if not 3-to-1, and we're not even at 2-to-1. Again, to reiterate Judith's point, I know this is difficult for the homeowner. The lot is fully developed as it sits now, and adding a further structure in the ACEC is a really heavy lift. You're just not there yet. I appreciate taking away the fencing. I'm not sure why we have to put a split rail fence there at all. Like, why is there any fencing required there? If it's somehow some sort of dog fence or something like that, and therefore there's gonna be screen in it, then it kind of prevents its purpose of being converted to split rail, so I'm not quite sure what the intent is there. I would just get rid of the fence. It'd be great to get rid of the fence on the northwest side of the property too, although I know that's more fully embedded in vegetation and it makes it difficult. I would just encourage, continue to convert lawn to vegetation to naturalize essentially any lawn that's left on this property, especially anywhere near the coastal bank. And there's still a lot of area you can work with along the east side and west sides of the property that could.
From the standpoint of landscaping, this has to be almost completely naturalized.
Yeah.
For what is now, manicured lawn and suburbanized landscaping, the whole area would have to be naturalized to be able to justify the addition of a structure in the ACEC. So this doesn't even come close.
And I think we said that earlier. We
Yeah,
were just
we did.
repeating our earlier comments.
We are.
Nothing-
I know we're sort of inching ahead on this project, but I
Right.
think what you're hearing, so especially on the east side of the property, there's a lawn on a coastal bank. That is a great opportunity to completely get rid of that lawn, completely naturalize it, make it protect that bank, protect the water runoff into the wetland. Not just that little area you've proposed where the driveway was, the whole thing.
Right.
And that's not
Yeah.
mulched flower beds, it's
No.
naturalized.
That still wouldn't do it for me. I think we got to be honest and not.
Super tough.
I think we're leading the applicant down a path that, I don't believe any of us are going to vote for this, and why should we keep suggesting more mitigation and him to come back, and we're still going to not vote for it?
Well, I
I
mean.
don't think it's fair to the applicant.
It's possible I would vote for it if every bit of leftover lawn and open area and mulched and,
Went to naturalized area or meadow,
naturalized, we might get
instead
there.
of lawn, I could possibly look at it, but
But it
that
would
would
have
be
to-
every inch of lawn.
every square inch, yeah. That's
mean,
the
it's a-
burden we're looking at here, unfortunately, for applicants. Any other comments, guys? I mean, to David's point, I don't want to keep beating you down every time you come back, but you've heard the commission, so.
Yes, I know you mentioned 2-to-1, maybe even 3-to-1. Is there a certain number that we're looking to try to?
I think what we've
meet?
just said is all of this lawn area, whatever the ratio is, it's kind of irrelevant because the property is so developed, border to border, bank to bank, ACE, a lot of it is in the ACEC. It's a very protected area for us. And adding more structure in it is extremely heavy lift. And in order to get there, it's not a ratio, it's protecting everything that we can that's left of the ACEC. When you introduce a new structure, would be getting rid of all of the lawn to protect the ACEC. That's,
Almost a version of undeveloping, if you will.
yeah, almost. I mean, we can't, I guess, require them to take the shed with the deck and everything else, that's on a coastal bank. But, it's a tough, it's tough the way it is. It's highly burdensome to the ACEC as it stands, and then adding more in is why we're having such a difficulty with it. So I guess bring that back to your applicant. And to David's point, I don't want you to keep wasting your time or their time or money. Believe me, this is not a happy thing for any of us to have to do this, but this is a really tough site.
And aside from mitigation, are there any other, improvements that could be made to sort of help?
Remove structure, remove hardscape, I mean,
Moving the deck,
Yeah.
the shed, and the stairways
Yeah.
on the eastern side.
Yeah.
And restoring that entire area.
Yeah,
As
that would
well as,
work.
as well as lawn. It's, what you're asking for is just, it's very difficult for us to approve this project.
And I think
John?
I understand the high bar test because it's difficult, and there's a, because like the entirety of the developed lot is currently within the ACC, house, guest house, pool.
Pools, sheds, decks, staircases,
I think it's
walls, fences.
I think it's a little bit because there's so much already developed within that resource area that's considered a local resource area and has a high measure of protection in Orleans. So much already developed within it. The corresponding undevelopment or broad scale mitigation of the first 50 feet, top of the coastal bank, that's also within the ACs here. And I'm not sure you're gonna get there and still have a usable, enjoyable site.
Well, from my perspective, he's not going to get there. I'm just going to say
Okay.
it.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's,
I apologize.
I'm guessing not. I mean, it basically is going to come back to the property owners. That's their call. What do they want? Do they wish to preserve lawn and maintain sheds and the landscaping that they now have? Or are they willing to give all of that up to naturalize it, turn it into wildlife meadows and habitat in order to have a garage? That's the choice, I think. And I hear what you're saying, David, but I'm not sure that I feel that that's my choice to make for them. I think that that's their choice.
No, I'm just being, I want him to be able to tell
Right.
the applicant.
No,
what-
I agree with you
Yeah.
totally. We don't want to keep leading you on and having you feel like you can come back and offer 10 more square feet of this and it'll all be good, because it won't.
it's a large scale, and I'm sorry if that wasn't obvious in our last hearing, but I think we've made it obvious now, so. Yeah. So what would you like to do? Would you like to try again?
Let's continue. And,
Okay. Is there any public comment on this project while we're,
Did Dick wanna weigh in?
Dick, did you have anything, or have we said it for you?
No, I think we've repeated ourselves, and I agree with the commission's forward motion.
Okay. Our next meeting is the 21st, or then we're into August on 8, what'd you say, 8/4? Yeah.
Can we look to continue to August 4th?
Mm-hmm. Okay, can I get a motion to continue?
Is the public hearing?
No, we keep it open.
Well, then I move to continue the project at 32 Hayward Lane to August 4th, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Brucey? Aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next order of business, certificate of compliance, David Manning, 645 South Orleans Road, DEP number 54-1014. The installation of a subsurface sewage disposal system. Work occurred within land subject to coastal storm flowage and the Pleasant Bay ACEC. John?
So we're on COC, sorry, I'm just.
Yep, we're on to COC.
Three, so regarding 645 South Orleans Road, the first one, this was for installation of a tight tank back in 1994. Work was completed, and you can find this order in compliance.
Questions? Can I get a motion?
I move to find the project at 645 South Orleans Road, DEP number 54-104, in compliance.
Second.
All those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Brucey? Aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
I abstain.
Next order of business, David Manning, 645 South Orleans Road, DEP number 54-2089. The repair to an existing revetment. Work occurred within land subject to coastal storm flowage, land underwater, and the Pleasant Bay ACEC.
And issued in 2010, the work took place shortly thereafter and substantially exists the same as it was completed by John Martin at the time. So with that, you can find this order in compliance.
Questions? Motion.
I move to find the project in compliance at 645 South Orleans Road, DEP number 54-2089.
Second.
All those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Brucey? Aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Abstain.
Next order of business, certificate of compliance, David Manning, 645 South Orleans Road, EP number 54-2171. The installation of a tight tank connecting to an existing single-family dwelling. Work occurred within land subject to coastal storm flowage and the Pleasant Bay ACEC.
So obviously some housekeeping occurring here at 645 South Orleans Road. The second tight tank, series of tight tanks was installed in 2012, recently, right after you issued the order, and that work is still functioning today, so you can find this order in compliance with it.
Questions? Okay, motion?
Well, then I move to find the project at 645 South Orleans Road, DEP number 54-2171, to be in compliance.
Second.
All those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Brucey? Aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Abstain.
Next order of business, certificate of compliance, James and Colleen Young, 10 Tohi Lane, DEP number 54-2566. Landscaping and site restoration. Work occurred within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland.
And I'm happy to see this come in. I did do a walkthrough with the homeowners. I can't even remember when that was, saying, please bring it in. I can report to you that this work was completed and is in substantial compliance, and you can find it in compliance today with a vote.
Sorry that you've been sitting here this whole time.
It's a long one.
They're coming up next for some other work, so appreciate they're here.
Any questions on the COC? Okay, can I get a motion?
I move to find the project at 10 Towie Lane to be in compliance, DEP number 54-2566.
Second.
All those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Brucey, aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Abstain.
Okay, our next order of business, administrative review, James and Colleen Young, 10 Tohi Lane. The proposed removal of 3 damaged trees due to winter storm that pose a threat to home, plus 1 additional tree that is leaning towards the house.
So the Youngs are here. We just talked about their landscaping, hardscaping project. It's in compliance, but they did have some tree damage with the winter storm. Christina and I authorized a lot of that to take place, just the broken branch stuff, the down stuff like we do with everyone. There's a series of pictures in your digital packet regarding 3 trees that they'd like to remove. And then, given that they're native trees and still alive, we bring that to you. I don't know if the Youngs want to add any color to the request. The pictures show one has a precarious lean towards the structure. The other one's just directly in back. It's just more something that, in my opinion, it's kind of grown up around you. You're dealing with that. And then the one with the damaged top is the one I would have liked to take a closer look at before discussing it today, but didn't get there. But I don't know if you have any questions or.
The one on the side of the garage is,
I'm sorry.
Come join us. We're winding down.
yeah, no, I got you.
They tend to not bite as hard.
See some familiar and friendly faces. Yeah, the one on the side of the garage, the big one that's leaning down, I don't know enough about trees to be able to tell you that it's seriously sick, but that's what we were told several years ago from Bartlett. It looks like it is pretty sick, and it's the oak, the bark is sort of becoming lighter, and it's becoming frail and fragile. So that's an indication. I don't know. Yeah, and then the other ones are similar but not as severe as that one. So we're just nervous about everything that's hanging over the structure's deck and roof line.
So I saw the pictures. For me, it's difficult without, and I'm wondering if you would allow us to come on a site visit and take a look at these trees.
Sure.
So that we can, use whatever expertise we have to assess them or request an arborist to assess them, and also see what the other foliage and what the other canopy around them is like.
Sure.
'Cause I couldn't really get a good estimate of that from the pictures.
Okay.
It's an AR, so you don't have to let us come on a site visit, but I think it would be helpful. I certainly would like to come see them.
I think it's to your advantage to.
Yeah, I agree.
Why don't we just take a look and.
Yeah. The only thing I would ask is, what I'm trying to avoid is having the tree guys come out and do the trimming and then have to come back a separate time and.
We could come next Tuesday.
We can come next
9
week.
o'clock.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you hold them off till then. Everything's still flagged, I think, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
We
Okay.
just-
That would be great.
So if we do that, then we won't take any action on this today. We'll just come take a look, if you allow us on
Thank you.
premises, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry well, you got an insight into how we.
Who wanted to watch the tennis anyway?
Ouch.
Well, that hurt. That hurt.
That did hurt. Okay. The next order of business, administrative review, Susan and Roger Vogel, 204 Barley Neck Road. The proposed removal of gooseneck, loosestrife, and Euonymus and replacement with native shrubbery.
And so I'm in receipt of an administrative review from Jay Pettit of Uncommon Ground, who's been on this property for a number of years. And he has sketched out the replacement of some non-native species with native species. And they're right between the fence and the road, and then on the other side of the fence. The other side of the fence was completed with an AR in 2024. And this is for that area that's between the fence and Barley Neck Road, framed by the driveway on one end, framed by the landing on the other. It's not a physically long strip, but it is barely visible. I recommend that you can approve this without any further filing. He will grub them out, he will use machinery, but it's a kind of a confined area, and it should be a nice addition of plant material for the property.
I've never been a fan of euonymus.
Well, as someone who, someone who views this site often, and, you know, there's erosion in that area, anything they can do to fix it up would be great.
I agree.
Any other comments? Okay, can I get a motion?
Sure. I move to approve the project at 204 Barley Neck Road.
Second.
All those in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Brucey? Aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Okay, chairman's business. Included in your packet were the sort of edited version of draft coastal storm flowage, land subject to coastal storm flowage regulations, including comments and additions from all you folks. And the purpose of today is to see if we can approve this as a draft to begin working with circulating to other town entities, town planner and other commissions and boards, and further, more intensive review by our conservation agent, town council, and so on. So that is what I'm looking for today. So I don't know if you had any comments or changes, or if people are.
I'd just like to hear from John. I think what you've done, Drusy, is great, and I kind of like to.
Yeah, I think this action is to finalize what you guys have done, so we can start to look at it. I haven't really given my detailed red line yet, but I will on the draft. If it's your final draft, then I'll probably get into it from here.
Yeah, and just to be clear for the public, we are not approving these regulations.
Yes.
We are approving a draft to begin working with to get public input on.
Almost like an internal draft that you're doing very publicly.
Yes.
Certainly, yeah.
Okay.
Understood. Yeah, I understand.
Any additional comments on it, or I think we've all seen them
Only
enough?
that I think Dick looks marvelous on TV.
Terrible. I'd just like to say, Druzy, thank you so much for your effort on this one, man.
Well, and thank you to Dick and David, both for working on our working group on this, and I think we've got a good starting point, so. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the working draft of the client resilience regulations?
Yes, I move to approve the working draft of the climate resilience regulations.
Second.
All those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Drucy? Aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all three.
Is there any public comment? The room has emptied out. We've done a good job. Is there any public comment online?
No hands raised.
Okay. So now we move on to our annual reorganization. And we will start with a motion to open nominations for commission chair. Can I get a motion?
I move to open nominations for CONSCOM chair.
Second.
All those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Brucey? Aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Can I get nominations?
I move to nominate Jerry Wander as CONSCOM chair.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 We're supposed to do roll call with him on video.
Oh, that's right.
So the way
Yeah,
you've been
okay,
doing
we
it-
gotta say it again. Okay. Well, and, yeah, all right, so.
There was a motion, a second?
Yes.
Motion is second. Okay, all those in favor, Tim,
Aye.
Judith,
Aye.
Dick,
Aye.
Trucy, aye, Ken,
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Okay, can I get a motion to
Is there any
close?
other nominees, Madam
Are
Chair?
there any other nominees? Can I get a motion to close nominations for commission chair?
I move to close nominations for Conscom Chair.
Second.
All those in favor, Tim,
Aye.
Judith,
Aye.
Dick,
Aye.
Trucy, aye, Ken,
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve Jerry Wander as the new chair of the Conservation Commission?
I move to approve Jerry Wander as new Chair of the Conservation Commission.
Second.
All those in favor, Tim,
Aye.
Judith,
Aye.
Dick,
Aye.
Trucy, aye, Ken,
Aye.
David.
Aye.
And as I am no longer chair, I will take permission to just finish out today's meeting.
Please do so.
Okay. Our next position is Commission Vice Chair. Can I get a motion to open nominations?
I move to open nominations for Conscom Vice Chair.
Second.
All those in favor, Tim,
Aye.
Judith,
Aye.
Dick,
Aye.
Brucey, aye, Ken,
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Nominations, I nominate Ken to be Commission Vice Chair.
Second.
Ken Johnson. We don't have to vote on, we're just taking nominations.
Taking nominations.
Yes, so that'll
Also-
eliminate one vote.
If you're suggesting motions, someone can also say, so moved. But
Are there any other nominations for Commission Vice Chair? Okay, can I get a motion to close nominations for Commission Vice Chair?
You may.
So moved.
Okay.
Bishop.
Second.
All those in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Trucy, aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve Ken Johnson as Vice Chair of the Conservation Commission?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Trucy, aye. Ken?
Abstain.
David?
Aye.
Okay, pass. Ken is the new Vice Chair of the Commission. Congratulations. Can I get a motion to open nominations for Clerk of the
So moved.
Conservation Commission?
Second.
All those in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
What did I hear here?
We are opening nominations.
Clerk.
He just spoke up.
Just say aye. Drucy, aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
I would like to nominate Dick Hilmer to be Clerk of the Conservation Commission.
Second.
Second.
No, we don't have to do that.
Oh, no, we don't have
So
to.
Do we
moved.
have any other nominations?
No.
Okay, can I get a motion to close nominations for Clerk of the Conservation Commission?
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Trucy, aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve Dick Hilmer as Clerk of the Conservation Commission?
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Trucy, aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Dick, you are the new Clerk of the Conservation Commission. Thank you. Next, appointment of Preservation Committee representative.
Nominate Dick Hilmer.
Do we have to vote to open nominations on this one?
We have
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
okay. We have a motion to nominate Dick Hilmer as our representative for CPC.
Second.
All those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Bring it on.
Drucy, aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Okay, and an appointment of wastewater management advisory committee representative. I nominate Judith Bruce. Can I get a motion to approve Judith Bruce as our appointment to the wastewater management advisory committee?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Drucy, aye. Ken?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Woo-hoo!
Well
We did
done.
it.
Thank you for following that collegial procedure.
And can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dick. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
hanging
Dick.
in.
Good luck, Dick.
Yep, love you.
Yep, good luck with the baby.
Let's hope. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Judith.
Thank you.